By June 2026, Palantir's Maven system will send 100% machine-generated intelligence directly to military commanders.
Wait, 100%?
100%. Zero human hands are involved in gathering, sorting, or, filtering this intel.
That is wild.
It really is. And the Pentagon has actually started calling Maven the Invisible General.
The Invisible General. That's a pretty intense nickname.
Right. And to understand exactly why it earned that nickname, you just have to look at what the system recently pulled off in a live combat theater.
Okay, what did it do?
It helped plan 2,000 strikes in just 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I want you to just let that number sit in complete silence for a second so you can process the sheer scale of what that means.
Wait, really? 2,000 strikes in 2 days?
I know. It sounds like a script from a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's just hard to wrap your head around.
But this isn't science fiction. That mind-bending figure comes directly from a stack of unclassified defense briefings and Palantir white papers that we're diving into today.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how software managed to replace the human general.
Exactly. And what that invisible handover means for the future of global conflict. Plus, how the military is trying to keep humans relevant.
Which sets the stage perfectly for where we are heading today in part 4 of our Palantir series.
Yeah, because when you do the math on that hook, 2,000 strikes in 48 hours.
Right. That is roughly 1 strike every minute and a half.
Without stopping, without sleeping, for 2 straight days.
I mean, that level of coordination is something a room full of human generals physically cannot achieve.
No, of course not.
The human brain simply cannot process disparate streams of information that fast. We are looking at a fundamental shift in the metabolism of warfare here.
Absolutely. The military is no longer just buying a new tool to help analysts look at maps.
Right, they are adopting a completely different cognitive engine for conflict.
So to understand how Maven achieves this impossible speed, we have to look at what it is actually doing behind the scenes.
Okay, let's get into it.
So Maven is pulling data from over 150 different sources simultaneously.
150, wow.
Yeah. We are talking about satellites in low Earth orbit, drones buzzing over the battlefield, signal interceptions.
Radar pings, thermal imaging.
Exactly. It is just a massive fire hose of raw chaos.
Right.
And in the military, there is a specific term for the process of turning that chaos into physical action. It's called the sensor-to-shooter timeline.
Let's demystify that jargon real quick, because the concept is actually, very straightforward.
Yeah, break it down for us.
So the sensor is whatever piece of technology sees the target, like a camera on a drone or a satellite lens or a radar dish.
Okay, makes sense.
And the shooter is the weapon system that actually takes action, like an artillery battery or a fighter jet.
Right.
So that timeline is literally just the biological and logistical latency between spotting a target, verifying what it is, deciding what to do about it, and actually pulling the trigger.
And historically, that timeline was measured in hours, if not, days.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's trace how this used to work just a few years ago. Say a surveillance drone takes a picture of a convoy moving through a mountain pass.
Okay.
That image is beamed via satellite to a base in Nevada. A human analyst, who has probably been staring at a screen for 6 hours straight, looks at the picture.
Right, they're tired.
Exactly. They think it might be hostile, so they type up a report and send it up the chain of command. A commander in a completely different time zone reviews it.
And then there's the legal side, right?
Yes. Then they have to wake up a military lawyer to check the rules of engagement. Then they have to coordinate with an airbase to see what jets are available.
Yeah.
By the time the order is finally given to strike, the convoy might have moved 50 miles.
The enemy essentially exploits that biological latency.
Precisely. But Maven collapses that entire sensor-to-shooter timeline from hours down to mere seconds.
Seconds. That is just wild.
It really is. It is identifying targets in real time, matching them across those 150 data streams.
And it goes further than just pointing out a target, doesn't it?
Oh, way further.
Huh.
It is actively calculating the logistics, suggesting the specific weapons to use, and even offering the exact time windows to launch the strike for maximum effect.
Okay, but wait, let me push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Because battlefield data is incredibly messy. We are talking about the literal fog of war here.
Oh, absolutely.
You have smoke on the battlefield, jammed communications, mud over camera lenses, deliberate enemy decoys.
Right.
How do we know Maven isn't just, hallucinating a hostile missile launcher where there's actually just a farmer driving a tractor?
Well, that specific challenge is what the defense industry calls sensor fusion, and it is the multi-billion-dollar hurdle that Palantir claims to have solved.
Okay, how so?
Maven doesn't rely on just one camera angle. If a thermal camera shows heat that looks like a tank, but the radar shows a profile that looks like a civilian truck, Maven's algorithm instantly weighs that discrepancy.
I see.
It isn't making a subjective, emotional guess. It is running pure probabilistic math.
So it's essentially cross-referencing reality in real time.
Precisely. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a million really smart interns.
Okay.
But instead of getting tired or panicking or needing coffee, these interns are just statistical probability engines.
Right.
And they're reading every single map, radar screen, and camera feed on Earth at the exact same millisecond.
That is a terrifying image, but a great analogy.
Right. And they don't see a tank the way a human does. They see a 98.7% probability of a T-72 tank based on pixel density, infrared signatures, and intercepted radio chatter.
Wow.
They instantly filter out the 1.3% of doubt, calculate the distance, check the weather, pick the right tool for the job, and slide that digital folder across the commander's desk before the human has even blinked.
Okay, so just to be absolutely clear for you listening, it is acting as the ultimate tactical assistant.
Right.
Not the executioner.
Yes, that's an important distinction.
It's serving up the perfect menu of options, but it is not actually pulling the trigger itself.
Exactly. It translates the infinite noise of war into a clear, actionable menu for a human commander.
And that translation is crucial, because the modern battlefield has simply become too complex for human cognition.
It really has.
When you have 150 distinct streams of data coming in every second, a human analyst isn't just slow, they are actively overwhelmed.
Right. They will suffer from cognitive fatigue almost immediately.
Yeah, but Maven doesn't get tired. It doesn't blink when a shadow moves across the satellite image.
And because Maven fundamentally changes the speed of war, it is completely rewiring how the military spends its money.
Oh, I bet.
The Pentagon is opening its wallet in a massive way, but they aren't just buying tanks and aircraft carriers anymore.
They are buying the infrastructure to feed this AI.
Exactly. Let's look at the 2026 budget to see this in action. The Pentagon has dedicated $13.4 billion to AI autonomous systems.
Wow.
I just want to pause after that number. $13.4 billion.
That is a massive financial pivot.
It is. And on top of that, they have carved out $9.4 billion just for drones.
Okay.
Just take a second and let that financial gravity sink in.
Those numbers are staggering. But, carving out nearly $10 billion specifically for drones begs a massive question.
What's that?
Why that one physical category? Why the obsession with unmanned aerial vehicles when we have stealth bombers and nuclear submarines?
Well, that brings us to January 2026.
Okay.
China ran a military demonstration that completely shifted the global perspective on modern combat, and it explains that budget perfectly.
What happened?
In this demonstration, they showed a single soldier controlling 200 drones simultaneously.
What?
Yeah. Take a beat and think about that. 200 drones, one person.
Let's unpack the mechanics of that, because one human being cannot physically manipulate 200 joysticks.
Yeah, obviously not.
That is mathematically impossible for a human brain in two hands. To achieve that, you have to use something called mesh networking.
Which operates completely differently than traditional remote-controlled drones. Right?
Fundamentally differently. Yeah. Instead of 200 individual drones talking to one central controller, which is easily jammed or overwhelmed,
Right.
the drones actually talk to each other. Think of it like a flock of starlings in the sky.
Oh, like a murmuration.
Exactly. Where thousands of birds move as one fluid entity without crashing into each other. If one bird changes direction, the surrounding birds instantly adjust.
That's a really good way to picture it.
So in a drone swarm, they share a hive mind through edge computing. You aren't flying them. You're just giving the flock a broad goal, like secure this perimeter.
And the resilience of that is terrifying. I mean, if you shoot down 20 of those drones, the network doesn't collapse.
No, not at all.
The flock instantly recalculates the gap, heals itself, and continues the mission.
I really want to let the geometry of that battlefield sink in for you. In traditional warfare, if you have a squad of 10 soldiers, you have 10 rifles. Maybe a few of them are flying individual surveillance drones. But if one soldier can control a swarm of 200 drones acting as a hive mind,
Yeah.
a squad of 10 soldiers now commands an air force of 2,000 autonomous craft. The sky just darkens with them.
And this is the Pentagon's deepest, most existential fear.
I can see why.
The United States military knows it cannot match China's physical manufacturing speed for hardware.
Right, the industrial base just isn't the same.
Exactly. If it comes down to who can stamp out the most plastic, batteries, and metal in a factory, the U.S. is at a severe disadvantage. You cannot outbuild that kind of industrial base in a matter of months.
So experts are calling this a new arms race.
Yeah.
But unlike the Cold War where we built bigger bombs, the weapons today are software.
Yes.
And software can be copied overnight.
Exactly. Think about it. If you lose an F-35 fighter jet in combat, you have lost over $100 million in years of manufacturing time.
You can't just spawn another jet the next morning.
No, you can't. But if you lose a drone swarm, or if your AI algorithm gets outmaneuvered by an enemy's algorithm, you don't have to wait years to retool a factory in Ohio.
Right.
You rewrite the code overnight. You push a software update over the air to every single drone in your fleet before breakfast.
The arms race is no longer about who has the biggest factories. It is about who has the fastest iterative software loop.
Which perfectly frames Palantir's entire business strategy. They aren't trying to build the physical drones or the plastic chassis.
They are building the invisible general that commands them.
Exactly. They are building the operating system for this new era of warfare.
But, transitioning from slow physical hardware to high-speed software brings us to a massive looming crisis.
It really does.
And it isn't a technological crisis at all. It's a profound ethical one.
Yeah, the divide on this issue is growing wider every single day. The official stance of the United States military is very clear on this. A human must approve every single kill.
Yeah.
There has to be a human in the loop. The AI can do all the prep work, it can fuse the sensors, it can circle the target with that red marker, but a human finger has to press the button.
Yeah, the concern over losing our humanity in warfare is so high that a senator recently introduced the AI Guardrails Act.
That's right.
Out of fear that this ethical line is eroding as the technology gets faster and faster.
And the motivation behind that legislation is incredibly understandable.
Oh, completely. The idea of delegating life and death decisions entirely to an algorithm, to a machine running statistical probabilities, is deeply unsettling to the human psyche.
We want morality, context, and human judgment involved when a life is taken.
We want guardrails.
We do.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Look at the brutal reality of international conflict.
Okay.
What happens if a primary adversary doesn't share those ethical constraints?
That is the ultimate uncomfortable question.
If China doesn't have that ethical constraint and prioritizes speed over human oversight, what if being ethical guarantees you will be slower than your enemy? Does having a human in the loop cost you the war?
That is the terrifying paradox at the heart of our deep dive today. And to be clear, we are not taking a political side here on the AI Guardrails Act or the U.S. military stance.
Right. There are no easy answers. We just have to present this neutrally.
We just want you, listening, to ponder this impossible choice alongside us. We have this profound societal desire to maintain our humanity in the middle of conflict, to ensure that a machine doesn't just automatically execute a target.
But let's look at the cold, hard math of a modern battlefield engagement.
Okay, let's walk through the timing of a modern drone strike defense.
Yeah, break it down.
So if an incoming autonomous drone swarm is approaching a military base at hundreds of miles per hour, an AI system can detect it, lock onto it, calculate the trajectory, and fire a countermeasure in about 0.2 seconds.
0.2 seconds.
Right. But if your ethical protocol strictly requires a human to look at a computer screen, verify the target visually, and click approve on a mouse, well, that biological process might take 5 seconds.
And in modern drone warfare, a 5-second delay means your base is already a crater.
Exactly. It comes down to the conflict between the speed of light and the speed of human biology.
And the proponents of the AI Guardrails Act are trying to preserve human dignity and legal accountability on the battlefield.
Which is vital.
But on the other side, military strategists are looking at the bare survival of their troops against an adversary that might not hesitate to let the machine pull the trigger autonomously.
Right. If you enforce the guardrails, you maintain your moral stance, but you introduce a fatal biological latency into a system that operates in milliseconds.
Yeah.
But if you remove the guardrails, you match the enemy's speed, but you cross a psychological Rubicon where warfare becomes a purely automated machine-to-machine slaughter.
And we really need to question what human-in-the-loop even means in practice when a system is processing 150 data streams a second.
That's a great point.
Can a human commander actually make a meaningful, informed moral judgment in a fraction of a time window?
Right. Are they really analyzing the data, or are they just becoming a biological rubber stamp?
Exactly. Think about the psychology of that moment.
Okay.
If the invisible general hands you a menu of options and says, strike this target right now, there is a 99% probability of enemy breach if you do not, are you actually making a tactical decision?
Or are you just obediently clicking yes because the billion-dollar machine told you to?
It's the illusion of control. When we click agree on a 50-page terms of service document online, we aren't really reading it or making an informed choice.
No, we're just clearing the screen to get to the objective.
Right. So if the machine is processing all the data, interpreting the reality, filtering out the doubt, and dictating the timeline, the human isn't really commanding the AI anymore.
No.
The AI is managing the human. It is guiding the human's hand to the button.
And when you are facing an adversary like the one demonstrated in January 2026, one single soldier launching a swarm of 200 autonomous drones that darken the sky.
The psychological and tactical pressure to just let the system take the wheel completely will be overwhelming.
Completely overwhelming.
Which means we have to completely change how we think about the timeline of the future. The most important takeaway from these briefings is that AI is not coming to the battlefield someday.
Right.
It is not a hypothetical weapons program drawn up on a whiteboard for the 2030s.
It is already there. It is planning 2,000 strikes in 48 hours right now.
The infrastructure is laid, the budgets are approved, the software is live.
The transition has already happened. The only question now is how much we admit it.
Yeah.
And so the ultimate question for you to mull over as we watch this new era unfold is this: will humans truly stay in control of the violence we create?
Or will the sheer terrifying pressure to survive and the absolute necessity to be faster than the enemy ultimately push human oversight aside entirely?
Leaving the invisible general to fight the war alone.
It is a profound question, and one that doesn't have an answer yet. But it perfectly frames the stakes of the software layer we've been discussing today.
Next time, in part 5 of our series, we are going to pivot from the battlefield to the boardroom. We will look at the business side of war and break down exactly how Palantir makes its money, turning these massive ethical and tactical challenges into a highly profitable enterprise.
I can't wait for that one.
This is ELI5 Podcast. See you next time.